Good morning. I call the meeting of the Portsmouth Economic Development Authority in order this morning. And I'd like to say good morning to everyone and thanks for your presence here. And we'll move right into our agenda without any further ado or preliminaries and roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll now read the good morning to the EDA board members and interim city manager, Ms. Tara. Yes, in our presence as well. I'll now read the roll. Mr. Barber.
I'm here.
Ms. Drury. Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Present.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Here.
Ms. Smith. And Chairman Copeland.
Here.
Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay.
Your first item on your agenda for discussion this morning is your minutes from your May 17th regular meeting. These were provided to you in your EDA meeting package that was emailed on Friday.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Saunders Smith and a second by Mr. Barber. Roll call. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith
Yes.
and Chairman Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are adopted. Your next item is your financial report for the month of May 2022, and we have representatives from the finance department here with us this morning, Ms. Phillips and Ms. Pope. I'll turn it over to them.
Good morning. I'm going to take a very high level because I think I'm going to try to focus on the things I think you really want to hear. You have total cash and temporary investments at the end of May of $9,173,515. And you'll see there how it's distributed. And I think that there's some of the town bank money is going to be moved to the treasurer's office under his control very soon, within the next few days. Nothing changed under your other assets other than property held for sale was reduced for the transaction that you had with the sale of the casino property. And that's over $6.5 million. On the liability side, you'll see that your long-term liabilities are zero. Were reduced by 6.8 million. So at the end of May, the unrestricted net position is $20,629,708,000. On the income statement, which under the accounting lingo is statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, you'll see the sale of land is over 15 million. And in your package, you will see there's a little worksheet that delineates each property sale if you want to kind of look at those details. But the most recent sale through May, at least, was the Victory Boulevard casino property. So your total operating revenues, that's sale of land less the cost of that land, plus some rental income, is over $9 million, 9.355. We've got some normal contractual services, maintenance mostly, indirect cost allocation. So operating income is $9,143,665. And then you recognize grants, payouts, contributions from Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing, transfer of some property. You have a change in net position of $8,558,572 coming back to the net position at the end of the period. And that net position does includes reservations. So you'll see that net available is a slightly smaller number. And that's all I had planned on reviewing, unless there's anything else you'd like to get into. There's a lot of details, as you know, in numbers.
Anyone? I'm fine. If everyone else is fine.
Fine.
Thank you, Ms. Pope, for being here.
She does a lot. I would say 99.9% of the work.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Staff is very appreciative of the finance department's help and support always in preparing these reports for you. Okay, if no further discussion, moving on to old business, we are going to need to revisit the FY 2023 proposed budget, which we presented and discussed at your May meeting, but certainly in need of revisiting this for adoption prior to the start of the fiscal year, effective July 1. The budget was recirculated in your EDA meeting package. We're certainly able to answer any follow-up questions that you may have, or any other discussion necessary.
I move approval of the budget for next year.
Second.
And before you take that vote, and we delayed it, so one of you would be here in case there were any questions too. And seeing none, we can move on.
Okay.
A motion by Commissioner Barber and a second by Commissioner Saunders Smith. Any discussion? Read the roll. Mr. Barber,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yeah.
and Chairman Smith.
Yes.
By a vote of 5-0, the budget motions are adopted. Your next item is an update on the RFP for commercial real estate services. This is a very brief update. We have been working with the city's purchasing office for these services, which have been advertised. We had 2 respondents to the RFP. We are currently in the process of negotiating an agreement with one of the respondents, and we're hopeful that we will have that negotiated and solidified in the coming weeks to have a firm representing the EDA beginning in the fiscal year. Mr. Barber has graciously afforded us his time and participating in that process, as has Ms. Broom, and we're looking forward to this being wrapped up here in the next few weeks. We will have a formal announcement of the award once that has been negotiated.
So there has been a selection of this.
There has been a selection. We're currently negotiating the terms
Okay.
of the agreement. And once that has been completed, then we would make a formal announcement of award.
And this is very important, as all of us know, for future development and future plans and directions, to have the capability of a professional to intercede on our behalf. Yes, sir.
Who were the 2 respondents?
The 2 respondents were,
I'm not sure. Until the procurement process is done, I wouldn't share any
Okay.
particular information.
Thank you,
about it.
Jeff.
Okay.
I was about to say something.
Can I ask a question? Do you know if piggyback language, or this may be for Jeff, piggyback language was put in that contract to allow other entities to utilize that service?
I've not seen the specific RFP. We usually do have
Okay.
piggyback language in their cooperative agreement. What Ms. Winston is talking about is that under Virginia law now, you can insert language in your RFP that allows other governmental entities to piggyback off your procurement. Usually that language is included, but I'm not 100% sure.
okay. If there are no further questions on this item, we're going to move on to new business.
Okay, and as everyone knows by now, it's time for us to re-elect officers, and we have multiple choices of how we want to go about this. Normally, we would have appointed a nominating committee, but number of us, chose not to do that. So you have the option, I'm gonna control it like this. I'm gonna declare the offices vacant, and I'm gonna step aside and let our secretary entertain from the floor how you want to deal with the officers, whether you want to take them nominated one at a time, whether you want to do it as a slate, or whether however the members want to do it. It's up to you. There's no set rules or regulations in order to doing that. It's just like any other parliamentary procedure type action. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I declare all of the offices vacant, and I'll turn the meeting over to us. Well, you got an office too, don't you? But it'll be okay. You go ahead.
I believe it's acceptable to as secretary.
I'd rather you than me.
Open it for suggestions for election of officers at this point for chair, vice chair, and treasurer.
Do we know whether the current officers want to stay in those positions or not?
Yeah, yes, we do.
And
And they do.
they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it's important to have continuity in leadership, and I've been very pleased with the leadership that we've had in our organization since I've been on the EDA. So I would be supportive of the current officers continuing for another term of office.
I would second that.
Is there any discussion of the motion? Okay, hearing none, just for clarification, if I can ask the city attorney, are we able to have one motion for
Yes.
the three?
Yeah, you can just take a roll.
Okay. All right, okay. Well, the motion again is for the appointment of EDA officers consistent with the existing positions and members serving in their current role going forward. Motion was made by Commissioner Barber and a second by Mr. Brown. And I will read the roll. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
and Chairman Smith.
Yes.
The motion passes with a vote of 5-0.
Okay. And I'd like to say before we move on, thank you for your continued support and cooperation. This group has been a very, very excellent group to work with. We've communicated, expressed feelings in the meetings, and I think we're on the right course, and we're doing the right things in order to move economic development ahead. And again, thank you for your confidence and your support. So we'll continue on with the agenda.
Very good. Your next item under new business is a update on the 2022 Business Investment Grant Program. These grant programs are included in your package that was sent out last week. We have that on the screen as well. Due to the volume of applications, it's somewhat difficult to read the numbers there on the screen, but real briefly, I will just kind of capture essentially where we are. The program did close to applicants on April 30th of 2022. We had a total of 55 applications that were processed under the three grant programs. I will give you a recap on each of those programs now. We processed under the Real Property Investment Grant Program a total of 15 applications that were approved for a total funding amount of just over $218,000. The EDA allocated a total of $300,000 to this program in the FY22 fiscal year. So we made very good progress on dispersing a good amount of that. We are in the process now of paying those grants out as projects are completed. And certainly can answer any additional questions you may have about the real property investment program, but I think we've been very successful in the utilization of that really throughout the entire city. It was widespread. Your next application is one of the two new programs, the Smart Start Development Grant. We assisted a total of 29 businesses under the Smart Start Development Grant program, deploying a total of just over $57,000 in funding. The EDA allocated $100,000 to this program, so we were well over half of that dispersed in essentially 4 months of the program being open during the fiscal year. So made very good progress in getting those funds deployed. The next program is the Smart Start Business Acceleration Grant. We've assisted 11 businesses in FY22 under that program, and a total of $55,000 was provided and awarded to businesses. We are in the process of paying those funds out. Again, that is a reimbursement grant, so we are awaiting documentation of the work that was performed, the services that were received. So we will be closing that out here in the next couple of months. So very pleased to say that, again, 55 businesses were assisted. I would like to credit the economic development staff for their efforts in deploying these funds. It was quite a lift in a 4-month time span to process all of these applications. Again, these 55 are the ones that were awarded. There were additional applications that were reviewed, so it was quite a lift on their part, and they did an excellent job. So happy to share any additional information that you may or questions you may have as it relates to the programs. But at this point, we are working to close out the payout of the grant.
So on behalf of the board, Mr. Donohue, we would like to congratulate you and your staff for a job well done. That is a lot in a 4-month span. And we do appreciate it. I've heard a lot of positive information from the businesses around the city of being excited about the programs.
Especially the diversity and of all levels, of small and large businesses, not corporations, but businesses, and it's a very diverse group that we were able to help. All types of businesses.
And on that note, I would like to share this is included in the report, but approximately 90% of the businesses that were assisted were small women or minority-owned firms. And of that, approximately 90% were minority businesses as well. So just wanted to share that with you. I think in terms of reaching our small business community, we really went great lengths to ensure that everybody was included in this program and was able to take advantage of it.
So one question, not specific to this, but something maybe we can think about. 2 things. We talked about some joint partnerships sometime with the high schools and businesses. I know we went to Fairleigh, they had issues with welders. Is that something we can really take a hard look at next year, at least being a conduit to work between the city, the school system, and potential employers? To try to get some movement in that area. And then the other thing is, as we do grants, can we look to see if there's any opportunities for mentorship for potential high school students with some of these companies? You know, it may be just one person, but I think it's just worth having that discussion to try to get as many people as we can into the workforce in a positive way at an early age.
If I can just take a moment, I'm going to ask Ms. Kroom just to provide a kind of an update on what we're doing through the Portsmouth at Work program as it relates to engagement at the school level and then mentoring opportunities.
So we do, I do sit on the Portsmouth Public Schools Career and Technical Education Advisory Committee. We are in the process of setting up programs. Our department here at Economic Development is assisting with those very programs as we speak. We're also in the process of setting up roundtables with our industry partners on how to better connect them to our students in Portsmouth Public Schools. We're also looking at a summer bridge program for our seniors that did not have plans for college, and also introducing that program to our juniors who have not made a decision as well. Working in tandem with the Hampton Roads Workforce Council as well with the Next Gen program and connecting our young people to those mentorship, internship type opportunities as well.
Okay, I think I'd like to see a little bit more detail, maybe at a meeting, like what businesses are involved, how many potential applicants have signed up, how many of those that have signed up are actually participating. Because this has been a dialogue that we've had a few times, and I think we're at a point to.
Some of the issue is not so much as that the programs aren't available, is the fact that the young people are not actually taking advantage of the opportunities. There are 25 employers right now with a dual enrollment program with TCC, and it's 100 slots, and they can't find 100 students to participate in that program. So the action it flips to how can we better communicate to the community and to the parents so that they are actually assisting their young person when they're going in for their appointment with their guidance counselors to actually register for those programs. And so we work a lot with PRHA through the self-sufficiency program as well, trying to push information down, especially because they're the only conduit we actually have to residents. And so it's helping parents understand the opportunities that are already available. Our employers are trying everything that they can to participate, but the interest has got to come from the young person to want to participate. So the programs exist. It's just getting the community involved and making sure that everybody understands what's available so that they're able to talk to whomever they know in the community. When they're out talking, doing their various jobs, where they live, where they worship, the community centers that are attached is helping everybody to understand where the opportunities are. Right now, Next Gen has probably 75 slots available for internship programs specifically for Portsmouth young people, 16 to 24, and they don't have the applicants. So the opportunities are there. We just need to work on the community understanding what the opportunities are.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into this, but the students that are not participating, are they not participating either through lack of awareness or it's something that they don't want to do, or is the marketing not where it should be from your perspective? It's
all of the above. There needs to be a concerted effort on all fronts. It's helping, I always use the analogy, young people understand jobs that they see and touch. And for the vast majority of our young people, what they see is police, fire, a doctor, and retail. And so until they're introduced to the various industries, we're not going to change that mindset. And until parents understand the job opportunities and the various industries that are within their community, there's no way for them to help guide their young person into the various industries. We've been out on several tours over the last couple of months, and I was very surprised to see some of the things that are right here in Portsmouth, they're hidden gems that our residents just don't know exist. But until there's this holistic approach to it, the city's not going to resolve it on its own. It's going to take the entire community, and it's going to take community, I call it a dog and pony show. Individuals actually going out and talking in the community about what's available, to also take the stigma away from our construction, our maritime industries, that they're not dirty jobs, that, you can be a doctor, but at some point, you're gonna need somebody to come and work on your plumbing. You're gonna need someone to come and work on your HVAC. I can have $1 million home, but I'm still gonna need somebody to repair it. And that doesn't make me any less of a person. And so until we start changing how we talk about our industries, our young people are never gonna understand the opportunities. So we hope to change a lot of that through the CTE channels, but we also need the community involvement.
I was gonna say, for the last 10 years, I've worked with this program in the Norcom High School called Boys to Men, Girls to Women. And the last, I guess the last 3 years, we haven't, of course, been allowed in the school because of COVID. So that there's a bit, problem still with that. But I will tell you that when we were there working, one, like you say, the kids really don't understand those jobs are out there. They don't. And that's a lot of what we spent doing. But then the second thing was transportation. Kids, the transportation issue is so bad that when you got a kid who can't drive and their parents are working, it's really a barrier. It is a real barrier to kids getting out and work. And I don't know what we as the city of Portsmouth can do about it, but it's no reliable transportation.
So there is a go to work transportation program that we work with here through Portsmouth at Work that is available to the community. And those individuals who household is receiving services from social services, the state actually awarded a grant to the Go to Work transportation company, Keon Childs. Anyone receiving public assistance gets that service for free. So once again, it's about getting information out into the community for individuals to understand that they're not just totally or solely dependent on HRT, that there are some options out there. There's also, for households who are receiving services, there is they can actually, if they're in the TANF or VIEW program where they can actually get a vehicle. It's just really about individuals understanding where their resources and services and opportunities actually are. And so how the CAR program works is if you're in TANF or VIEW, you're able to receive this car free of service. They service it for a year, and you actually, they give you the car based on your household size. So if you're a family of 6, you're gonna get a minivan. You don't get your choice. If you're a household of 2, you'll get a smaller car. So there are opportunities out there. Once again, it's just about our families understanding where their resources and services are.
And
The program, sorry.
no, you go ahead.
The program that you're referencing, is that for those who receive food stamps? A lot of my families don't receive TANF, TANF have time limits, with that, but is it eligible for those that receive food stamps?
They have to be in the VIEW program.
Okay, so that's gonna limit a lot of folks that are in PRJ residents.
But they do qualify for the Go to Work program. No matter what, anyone receiving any public assistance does qualify for the Go to Work program.
And that's the transportation.
That's transportation,
portion of it.
and that's from point A to point B, and they can work out with the service if they have to drop off a child to daycare or need to go grocery shopping. They're able to work that into their ride as well.
And a lot of this indecisiveness, when you look at the millions of dollars that all the Portsmouth high schools received in scholarships, and they're picking four-year colleges or TCC or some other type of technical program. But a lot of them, we're in a window here where they really don't know what they want to do. Those that definitely, they know they're not going to college, but now what? And then the military, those that have picked the military from working through NORCM and through the guidance counselor, that's what we found there. A lot of them have not made decisions yet, you know, of the graduates as to what they want to do yet. They feel like they've got a lot of time.
Right,
You know.
and the other piece to that is the teachers,
Yeah.
the teachers understanding what the job opportunities are. So I failed to say this one thing, so forgive me. So taking them out on externships so that they actually understand. So this summer, there is a sponsored tour for our guidance counselors and our CTE teachers. So they're going out on 2 bus trips in July, where they will be out in the region actually visiting employers and hearing about the job opportunities. So they're better equipped to talk to the students in the classrooms that can then in turn go home and talk to their parents and hopefully give them a better idea when they are planning their school schedule for the following year.
And we just going to rely on you to kind of keep us up to date on a lot of that, because, you know, we're limited as an EDA as to what we can do based on staffing, number one. And hopefully when you get up to full staff and you can get some support to help.
Chairman, may I suggest that a follow-up item be included on a future agenda to discuss Portsmouth at Work and some of the other initiatives that we're undertaking. Obviously, there are many aspects involved in the workforce development arena, and certainly as it relates to youth engagement and engagement with our business community for mentorship and internship opportunities. There's a bigger conversation I think to be had there, and we're working on a few things now. So we'd like to come back to you at a later meeting date and present some additional information, do a deeper dive in what we're able to do this morning. So this is going to be a continuing conversation, but we'd certainly like to come back and I think try to tap into this a little bit further.
Hey, you good, Mr. Mitchell? I mean, I know you won't ever be, but at least on this topic.
Yeah. I'm just always amazed that when we have these conversations, it's like a solution for everything that we say, but yet it's not working. You know, so I just think we're not doing the kind of assessment of maybe some of these programs and either saying it's effective, it's not effective. And I think EDA can bring some of these people to the table, you know, and facilitate a more richer discussion and try to get some more positive outcomes.
Yeah.
And just one other thing, I would like to get a breakdown of the income levels of people who live in the city of Portsmouth. The reason why I say that, I know that we talk a lot about the programs that are redevelopmental housing, that type of, we have a big segment of kids that are in that thing that don't qualify. I mean, they're right over the edge. They're right, I mean, you get, you know, 25, I think, was it $25,000? What is the minimum to be in your programs?
Well, they have to be 80% and below AMI. So you do have a group between, I would say, 81 and 120% of AMI that need services. They fall through the cracks. I would agree.
Yeah, it's a big crack there of
Because
kids
they're not
that don't
eligible.
qualify, they're not
Right.
eligible.
They're not
For
eligible.
any
but
kind of
they're working
services.
for still.
Yeah, the working poor, yeah. So, you know, we need to look at that segment as well, you know.
People that are just making ends meet.
Just trying to make it.
That's the Alice category
Mhm.
that they were talking about.
Yes.
It's an Alice category
Mhm.
that city council wanted to do with Department of Social Services, the $500 direct pay. But I would say that's the Alice category population that they're referring to.
The breakdown was actually in your February report. but we can definitely send that back out. That has the breakdown of the households in for Portsmouth.
Okay.
But that is what the program is based off of, and we more specifically focus on the Alice households. And with the program here with Portsmouth at Work, because they are your households that are underemployed. And so that is the target. As well as we focus on those that fall within the poverty guidelines, which is the CDBG side of the house, and what those programs are used for.
What is Alice acronym for?
Asset, income.
Constrained.
What is it? Alice?
Asset, let me say.
Asset limited income restraint.
Asset limited income.
Okay.
Asset limited income constrained employed. That's it.
Is that all?
That's it.
I tell you, my years on the school board, that we got killed with those acronyms, and I would tell them, stop. Everybody knows them but you.
Nobody has more than the military though.
I'm glad you asked the question.
Okay, moving on. We do have another new business item for discussion this morning. It is related to the Business Incentive Grant program, and that is an application that we did receive prior to the April 30th cutoff deadline for the Smart Start Business Development Grant Program. The application was from Youth Empowered Solutions. This business is looking to operate a boys residential group home at 542 Lake Shores Drive here in the city of Portsmouth. They have requested the development grant funding of $2,000 to support technology and digital infrastructure, which is a eligible item and activity under the program, which essentially will be used to purchase 5 computers to assist with counseling and supporting mentoring provisions under their programs and offerings, as well as tutoring and assisting with schoolwork. The reason we are bringing this before you is it is somewhat unique in terms of the applications that we received in the FY22 round. We do not have any specifications about residentially based businesses. We do permit home-based businesses, those providing professional services, and so forth, as eligible applicants. But a residential based use is something that, in terms of business operations, is something that we did not define. So it's a little bit different than what we had seen. So we wanted to bring it before you for consideration, discussion. I think this will lead to, in the coming fiscal year, some further discussion about the types of businesses that are able to apply under the program and would be eligible. We'll save that for another meeting, but we did feel it was necessary to bring this to you because it was unique. It was the only one that we received, and would like your input and direction on how we proceed.
And this is becoming to be sort of problematic in that we don't really have guidelines for every type of business, and that's a topic that we're going to discuss in the near future. Once we got some time now, because we had to, kind of shut the program down because of staffing issues and things like that. But we definitely need to discuss how we want to operate and how we want to handle and manage the various applications that come before us now, because it runs the spectrum of types of businesses and where they are. And I think it's just something that we all need to discuss as far as how we want to approach them. And in this situation too, some of them can be very controversial to the communities. Me being a civic league president, there is problems with group homes in the communities. That doesn't mean we have to get into that, or that needs to sway our decisions, but we need to just make sure that this business has passed the muster as far as the city goes, and as far as because these group homes are regulated by the state of Virginia, not the city of Portsmouth. So it's a whole different ballgame. But it's just something that we need to be educated on, is the bottom line.
In something like this, I'd be interested to know how residents have fared in this group home.
Right. And all of those factors is, what I mean, because I know in Cavalier Manor, there are some problem ones. And they come to me as a civic league president to resolve them, and some of them wound up in court, so that's just some information that we need to get, so that we will understand, where our money is going to, and whether or not, I don't know whether we are legally bound to, is it discrimination or?
There can be fair housing issues in dealing with group homes. I think it's probably advisable for the board to look at it as, this is a type of a residential, it's a business, but it's a residential use. And so I think the best way for the board to look at it is, do we intend this program to help that category of business or not? And under the current regulations, you can really go either way with it. You have the discretion.
Right. I will miss.
What I will say is, I had a conversation with Nathan Woodard, who oversees behavioral health care, and he said, I'm not making reference to this program, but he definitely said that there is a saturation of group homes in Cavalier Manor, and that they're looking at that closely and have been able to deny some applications because of that. I don't know if this is something that, if this is an active business or not. This may be something that should be vetted through BHS to determine if that's an area that they are having issues with, a saturated population of group homes.
Right.
I just don't know the end result, and I don't want to discourage anyone from doing a program. But there is some concern around how many programs have popped up in Portsmouth and saturated our urban communities. So again, not speaking to this specific program, but because it is state, they have to go through that approval process with behavioral health care.
Mr. Brown.
My question was were they already zoned and licensed for operation as a group home at this location?
This one.
The applicant has received a business license to operate at this location. So the Commissioner of Revenue has authorized that.
So does that mean that they've been authorized by the state to do this? If they've obtained a license through the city?
We have not received that at this time.
And I'm not sure how the process works, but I think they may have to have that first. Before,
I didn't know.
Before the city would approve.
Yeah, and let me say, this is a new business, so this is the first instance that they have done this in Portsmouth or any other localities.
I think the idea of it is great if it works
My point is,
and they're successful at what they're trying to accomplish.
we've given startup grants to home-based businesses already based on the payout sheet from the last grants that we dispersed. I don't see how this, just because of the type of business, was excluded from receiving a grant.
Well, the difference though is those home-based businesses like office, they don't have staff and they don't have problems to the community that that some of these cause. That's the difference, that's why I say we just need to be educated. And as everybody, as Ms. Terry has said, we just need to know all of the ins and outs.
You said the difference was what again?
The fact that home-based businesses are offices and some of them don't have staffs, in their homes. They may have one or two persons, there are limitations on the number of boys I know or residents in group homes, depending on the type of individuals they are. So, because you have from adult to youth, and based on the size of the property, I know regulates this. So I see it as a little different in a home-based business versus a group home. It's a big difference.
Does the city require a conditional use permit for group homes? And if so, did they get a conditional use permit?
I don't believe so. If residential's of right, I don't think they require a conditional use permit.
And because that's state regulated, it gets into another whole realm because the state's involved.
So this is for a startup business though, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, yes.
All right. I didn't know.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm against this. I'm just saying we just need to go into some of these things eyes wide open because our money is being invested and who knows the success or the failure of it. So I'm just saying we just need to know what we're getting into. This is just one example.
Right.
That big list, you need to look at it close to see.
I actually know 4 companies that were awarded startup grants. And aside from the money, they really appreciate the training and the additional knowledge that they gain going through the program. But I also don't see a difference between those 4 home-based companies. They're all diverse in what they do at home. And this group home is just asking for the same thing that they have received.
Right, and to your point, I think why did this one come up in particular? Because it was late, it was why we focused on this particular one.
It's like a first that we've had to deal with. And we just wanted to make sure that, this is something that, like Jeff mentioned, that we want to fund.
Oh, because
because normally we haven't.
I guess, and I'm overstepping, I know, but let me just ask, was the purpose of giving grants to startup businesses, to give grants to startup business, no matter what the true purpose is, if they had gone through the program guidelines and criteria and presented that and did what they were supposed to do to be able to qualify? Because if that's it, there should not be a category as much as to say, this is the first time we've ever done this specific. If the whole goal was to get businesses started and go through a program and meet criteria to be able to qualify for the $2,000, then they exceeded that.
Yeah.
Can I put a different spin on it? A group home is not a home-based business. A group home is a residential, is providing bed for individuals to stay in a home versus a business that brings in tax dollars. Those individuals don't have a tax base in a residential home. They're just providing a home. A business is paying taxes on revenues that are being brought into the city. So there is a fundamental difference between a group home and a home-based business. A home-based business is not considered residential.
Right, but if you're a business in the city of Portsmouth with a business license, not only are you gonna pay taxes on the business, you're gonna pay, if you're not renting, you'll pay real estate. And then it's part of whatever you put on your tax return, whether you have it as an LLC, a sole proprietorship. Either way, it's part of a Schedule C because you're reporting income.
Typically, when a residential home is a home-based business, is because they're also providing mental health services, and they're required to have a business license. But this particular application, from what I saw, isn't providing that. They're just providing a home. So why he has a business license is not clear, because there is not a business being run out of the home. It is just a residential place. It's just somewhere for individuals to live. So what other services are being provided in the home that would require him to pay any kind of taxes outside of
Fees, licensing fees.
the real estate taxes?
Well, when you're a if he gets money from the state, he's gonna get food, if you're a group home. Only reason I know is because I know somebody who has several people who have group homes. And they have to count certain things from Medicare on their tax return. If they are a LLC or how they structure it as an S or sole proprietor, they're required to show that on their taxes. So it increases their income. So it depends, I guess, I don't want to get so much in the weeds of specifically what they do. But I guess it's more of, did they meet the criteria of what was requested to be considered a new business?
So in economic development terms,
I share your concern.
they are not a
I
home-based
have a friend
business.
who has a brother that was in a.
They are not. They do not meet the home-based business criteria.
Then that's the answer. I mean,
They may be creating a business of running group homes, but right now they have not met the burden, in my opinion, of the economic development term of a home-based business.
And mine either.
so
That's
that's
why I'm
the
bringing
thing
it
is.
up.
Go ahead.
Coach, where's
We have not
what's the business
limited our
address of
funding
Youth
to
Empowered
home-based
LLC?
businesses.
I know, and that's why, and we need to kind of close this out, because that's why I say we need to get information.
Yeah, what is the business address of Youth Empowered LLC, Solutions LLC? What's their business address?
The business address
Lakeshore
for
Drive.
their
Is it
business
quite, could it be
licenses.
quite possible that a portion of the home is used
542
for
Lakeshore.
business and a portion is used for the residential group home portion?
He did not know that.
No, that wasn't on the application. So I'm just saying, we need to look at this closely. We don't have any answers, and we're not gonna, get the answers around this table this morning, but we just want further discussion as to how we want to address things, because I felt it was questionable, and that's why it's here before us. So if we want to delay the vote on this one until that happens, or we just want to, take a chance and,
Mr. Chair.
yes.
Yeah, if I could, I just want to note that the way the guidelines were set up for this year, there's no express carve out.
Right.
I mean, I think y'all were getting to the issue is that this is almost akin to a landlord, right? So a landlord is a business, but is that what you want to be funding
Right.
with this? But with that said, you didn't expressly carve anything out with your guidelines this year, which, it's a new program and that's understandable. Things are going to come up. Whatever you do today is not going to have any precedential value because you have plenty of time to discuss this issue, revise your guidelines as necessary. But again, you didn't specifically carve these businesses out of your guidelines. And while you do have the authority to exercise discretion to approve applications or not, that's just something to keep in mind. And if you act on this application, it's not going to affect anything in the future.
Right. But I just felt we needed to have this discussion, not to this link. That's why I keep saying, we need more information, but we do need to address this, on whether we want to table this or whether we want to go ahead and approve it and then look, differently in the future and revise our expectations for the program. That's my goal.
I'm sort of the opinion that, they've met our technical requirements of the program, and I would say that, it's to prove it based on that, when review our guidelines in the future to see whether we went to permit or disallow this type of activity.
Okay.
Well, I sort of feel like
I'm with
Neil
you.
about this too. I mean, I do understand there's too many group homes and I do believe that strongly. So that is not what I'm talking about. But the fact, it sounds like it was a licensing issue with the city. Maybe they should not have granted the license if they didn't fit the category, of being a business. But if they fit our criteria, I think that we should fund it.
Well, if that's the way you feel, we just need to take action. And you know what, how to take action.
I would say, I would make a motion to approve it.
Okay,
Second.
okay.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Mr. Barber and a second by Mr. Brown. And pending any discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. I would like to recognize Mr. Smith. Because, joined us.
Mrs.
Commissioner Smith?
What?
Yes,
No, I just,
recognizing you're in attendance.
oh, thank you.
Okay, with that, I'll read the roll. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
No,
and Chairman Smith.
No,
We have a vote of 4-2 to approve. Motion passes.
okay. Moving right along. Thank y'all. And we will bring this up as soon as we can get it scheduled with the need of having some not only stakeholders, but also some experts or some information as to how we can look at these kinds of things. But the bottom line, I still feel, and is that we just need to make sure of what we want to fund. Because we still are in control of that, but we don't want to violate any laws, or we don't want to, be discriminatory, but we want to do it fair. Okay, all right. The next item.
Chair, we are in need of a closed meeting. We have a number of items to discuss. I do believe that the Vice Chair has a motion for a closed meeting.
Do.
Yes.
Okay, just for a moment, I move to go into a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code subsection 2.2-3711A.3 for the purpose of discussing the disposition of real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding 1021 and 1107 High Street, 53 Afton Parkway, 2625-2631 Turnpike Road, 2715 Turnpike Road, and 2410-2416 Turnpike Road.
Second by Mrs. Smith. Read the roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Item is adopted. We are now in a closed meeting.
I hereby move that each commissioner certify that to the best of his or her knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Mitchell, second by Mr. Barber. I will read the roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
And Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes. We are in open session.
Okay, and we're gonna take a 15-minute I mean, not 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Is that enough? 5 minute break before we continue with the agenda. Yeah. Okay. I call it a meeting back to order. We will continue on with our next agenda item. Mr. Donahue.
Thank you, Chair. The next item is a resolution for property at 2625 through 2631 Turnpike Road.
So motion be appropriate.
I move that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Smith and a second by Mr. Brown. I will read the roll. Mr. Barber, Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
and Chairman Smith.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted. 6-0.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir. There were 3 items discussed to be added to the agenda. I'm going to state the motion. If it's agreeable, if someone can then state so moved, second vote on that, and then we'll do the resolutions individually. So the motion would be to add 3 items to the agenda, including resolutions regarding 1021 High Street, 2715 Turnpike Road, and 2410 Turnpike Road.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Barber and a second by Ms. Saunders Smith. I'll read the roll. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
and Chairman Smith.
Yes.
The motion is adopted. 6-0.
Okay, now we'll do the resolutions individually. I'll read them into the record. Resolution regarding 1021 to 1107 High, extension of permitting period. Whereas pursuant to resolution adopted on March 16, 2021, EDA entered into a purchase and sale agreement with A4 Development Group LLC, the developer for the construction of a townhome development at 1021 High Street and 1107 High Street, as amended the agreement. And whereas the permitting period under the agreement has expired, and whereas developer has performed significant work and expended significant funds in furtherance of the development, including obtaining the required city council approvals, and is in the process of making additional site plan submissions. Whereas developer has requested to extend the permitting period expiration date for 7 months, with the new expiration date being January 20, 2023. And whereas it is in the interest of both parties to allow the developer to complete the permitting process for the development, now therefore is hereby resolved that the amendment of the agreement to extend the permitting period through January 20, 2023, together with such minor additional amendments as may be required to conform the agreement to the new expiration date, is hereby approved. The chair and vice chair are each hereby authorized to execute an amendment to the agreement in accordance with the intent of this resolution. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Barber and a second by Mrs. Smith. Read the roll. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Motion is adopted by a vote of 6-0.
Okay, the second is resolution regarding 2715 Turnpike Road, sale of property. Whereas the Virginia Department of Transportation performed a project to widen Turnpike Road in Portsmouth, whereas VDOT acquired property necessary for the road widening project, and upon completion of the project, it conveyed all remnant parcels of the property that were not necessary to the city of Portsmouth. Whereas the remnant parcels include a portion of 2715 Turnpike Road, tax parcel 01890290, more particularly described as Lot B on that certain plat recorded in the land records of the clerk of the circuit court, the city of Portsmouth, Virginia, and map book 26 at pages 195 and 196 of the property. Whereas New First Baptist Church of Taylorsville, the purchaser, currently uses the property for parking, was offered to purchase the property for the sum of $7,500, the purchase price. Whereas the property is the remaining portion of a parcel conveyed for development, the conveyance of the property to the purchaser would save the city costs for mowing and other maintenance. Now therefore, it's hereby resolved that Chair, Vice Chair, and Secretary are each authorized to execute on behalf of EDA an agreement for sale of property to developer for the purchase price. Chair, Vice Chair, and Secretary and the designees are each hereby authorized to take such further actions, execute such further applications, documents, and instruments, including without limitation of deed conveying the property and related closing documents as may be necessary or desirable in furtherance of the conveyance of the property in accordance with the agreement. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Saunders Smith, and a second by Mr. Brown. I will read the roll. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
and Chairman Smith.
Yes.
The item is adopted by a vote of 6-0.
Resolution regarding 2410 to 2416 Turnpike Road sale of property. Whereas the Virginia Department of Transportation performed project to widen Turnpike Road in Portsmouth, and whereas VDOT acquired property necessary for the road widening project. Upon completion of the project, conveyed all remnant parcels of the property that were not necessary to the city of Portsmouth. Whereas the remnant parcels include 2410 Turnpike Road, tax parcel 01750190, 2414 Turnpike Road, tax parcel 01750200, 2416 Turnpike Road, tax parcel 01750210. Collectively, unless saved and except areas to be dedicated as right-of-way of the property. Whereas LBC Transportation, the developer has offered to acquire the property for a purchase price of $20,000. Whereas the developer intends to use the property in connection with his trucking business in the area. Whereas it's a condition precedent to the conveyance of the property, the developer would be required to cause performance of all survey work necessary to dedicate any necessary right-of-way along Turnpike Road. The developer would be entitled to a credit against the purchase price in an amount equal to the documented third-party cost for said survey work. Whereas conveyance of the property to the developer would benefit the city and its residents financially by returning the property to the tax rolls and saving the city costs for mowing and other maintenance. Whereas the resolution is subject to adoption of a resolution by city council authorizing conveyance of the property to EDA. Now therefore is hereby resolved that the chair, vice chair, and secretary each authorized to execute on behalf of EDA agreement for the sale of the property to developer for the purchase price and otherwise in accordance with the terms of this resolution. Chair, vice chair, and secretary and the designees are each hereby authorized to take such further actions, execute such further applications, documents, and instruments, including without limitation of deed, conveying the property and related closing documents as may be necessary or desirable in furtherance of the conveyance of the property in accordance with the agreement. This resolution should be effective upon adoption of a resolution by Portsmouth City Council authorizing conveyance of the property to EDA.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Barber and a second by Mrs. Smith.
Sure.
I'll read a roll call vote. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Motion is approved by a vote of 6-0.
It concludes the resolution.
Yes, sir. Your next item is items submitted by commissioners.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to let the EDA know that I attended a meeting of Housing X actually, and Orlando Artsy, who's working with the state Virginia LISC organization, which stands for the Local Initiative Support Corporation, which is a national organization for community and neighborhood revitalization and redevelopment. They have opened up an office here in Hampton Roads and staffed it recently, and was able to introduce Brian and have those folks come down and get acquainted with the economic development office here and the efforts of the EDA. There's opportunities for partnership with them, particularly in their small business lending programs and their neighborhood revitalization efforts. So it was a sort of get to know each other a little bit better and familiarize them with the work of the Economic Development Office here in the EDA. And hopefully we'll have some partnerships that we can structure as time goes by and they get more established.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Items? None? Okay, well, let me say that I want to clarify to the general public in reference to the property on McLean, which has been a source of contention as far as what happened to the property. And as we all know, this commission knows that that property is now in the hands of the Miller Group, who's planning to build 197 townhouses. It has been half told about the history of that property involving the EDA, whereas 30 acres was involved. Only 17 of those acres were developable. And so there's been no kind of shady deals or backdoor payments to a developer to get any special consideration. Considering the problems that were out there, that property goes back to the 50s, and once the other little shopping center and Academy Park homes were demolished, that property is set for over 30 or more years with only one offer on that property. And any person listening that knows anything about real estate and development may be familiar with the term of a proffer. And all that was negotiated with the developer was based on the condition of the property, being some contaminated soil in the area, and also being that the developer was going to bring millions of dollars to the city if that was developed. Those townhouses were going to sell for about $320.
I believe starting in the 285.
285.
Yeah.
So
300.
you can do the math to know long-term what that would benefit the city, even though the price was low that we sold it for, and that was all negotiated as remediation for the property, and the property also has wetlands on it as well. So there wasn't anything shady done. It was all handled properly and appropriately in the past. And this setting board, the only thing we've done to that is approved amendments to that. But that deal was first established by the EDA in 2015. So in no way does any of the city staff, including the city manager, had anything to do with the sale and the development of that property. So we just wanted the EDA, this EDA wants to make it clear that that was all done above board, and it was done to benefit the city millions of dollars for the sale of each of those townhouses. So, and if there are anyone out there that has any questions, they can call the EDA department, they can call myself or any of the commissioners. And we would like to thank Miss Mimi Terry, who's our interim city manager, who's also provided this same information to city council members and as well as to us. So again, I felt like that needed to be said on behalf of the EDA because of all of the things that are being said out in the public by elected officials, former elected officials, and folks that think they know. A little hiccup there, but yeah, just for the benefit of those that may not know some of those details, that was legitimately handled, and it was duly processed according to the city's codes, rules, and regulations. So I felt as chairman we needed to say that, and I just wanted, I believe that's well, we got one more agenda item. Are there any report backs from staff?
Yes, there are, Chair. First, though, I'd like to take an opportunity to make an introduction. One of our newest team members here in the Economic Development Office, which is Ms. Sandra Briggs here, who has been here for the meeting this morning. She is our newest team member, and she is a workforce development specialist who is working here in the Portsmouth at Work Center, assisting Ms. Kroom and all the wonderful things they're working to do. We're very pleased that Ms. Briggs joined us at the beginning of June. She is coming from previously Norfolk, but joined our team and has hit the ground running. I'm really excited to have her here as we're working to build out the Economic Development Office and our team. Sanjay, so we provide you an opportunity. I'm putting you on the spot here, but if you have anything you'd like to share with the board.
Thank you. I'm excited to be.
Welcome.
Welcome.
She brings a number of years of experience in workforce development and community services. So we're really excited to have her on the team. We are still working to staff up our department. We have been conducting interviews. In fact, we have interviews scheduled for this week. So we're going to be adding some additional team members here next month. So we'll keep you abreast of that as that develops. I do have some other announcements as it relates to some upcoming ribbon cuttings this month. We have on July 7th, Port Rover Petite, which is an expansion of the Port Rover animal care and day boarding facility on Airline Boulevard at 2878 Airline. At 1 p.m. on July 7th, we will be hosting a ribbon cutting for Port Rover Elite. This is an expansion of their business. On July 8th, we will be supporting Greg's Tattoo at 327 High Street. That will be at 11 a.m. on July 8th, just a few blocks from here. And we have another business ribbon cutting to announce on July 18th at 11 a.m., which is for Bloom Co-working, their third expansion that will occur at 739 High Street. So some really exciting expansions and new business openings in the city. And I hope to see you all there. And Ms. Shepherd will be sending you all invitations if you have not already received them. So just want to make you aware of those. We hope to have you join us for those events. Chair, that is all I have for this one.
And one last thing we need to address, talking with Mr. Donahue and our vice chair, we're recommending that we not have a meeting in July because of a lot that we've taken care of today, and that we will forego July and we will reconvene in August. Is that correct?
That is correct, unless a need arises for some sort of special call meeting, which at this point in time, we don't foresee one. I think we can forego the July meeting.
Okay. So do we need a motion for that, or can general consent? General consent?
General consent.
Okay, all 100%.
We get a vacation.
Okay. And any last parting comments or anything come before us? Thanks again, and also to Ms. Phillips and Ms. Mimi Terry, who endured the entire meeting with us this morning. Thank you for your presence. And I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.